This is quite intriguing. Jack Ma may be making a return. After China's State Administration for Market Regulation announced that Alibaba's 3-year rectification period had ended with positive results, Jack Ma posted an open letter on Alibaba's internal network. The letter, which is over 1,000 words long, commemorates the 25th anniversary of Alibaba's founding, but its timing gives it a whole new significance. In the current backdrop of China's economic slowdown, this letter is worth reading closely and analyzing. In the letter, Jack Ma mentioned gratitude for the first time. The first object of his gratitude is the era, followed by colleagues, customers, investors, and so on. This is quite interesting. Jack Ma first thanks the era, which is likely a response to an article. In 2019, People's Daily published a commentary titled "There is no such thing as the Jack Ma era, only Jack Ma in this era." That article came out shortly after Jack Ma announced he would step down as chairman of Alibaba's board of directors in 2019. As we know, in 2020, after Jack Ma made his now famous comments at the Bund Financial Forum, where he criticized traditional banks for having a pawnshop mentality, Ant Group's IPO was swiftly halted by Chinese regulators. Since then, financial divisions of major internet companies, including Alibaba and Tencent, have faced fines and rectifications. So, in Jack Ma's recent letter, the fact that he first expresses gratitude to the era among many others is telling. To be honest, it shows that Jack Ma now understands politics better, and that he has learned the importance of compromise with the realities of the world. How has Jack Ma been doing these past few years? We know that since his speech at the Bund Forum in 2020, Jack Ma has rarely appeared or spoken in public. So how has he been during these years? And what's his mindset? There's a passage in the letter where, while reflecting on Alibaba's 25-year history, Jack Ma says something like this: "We are determined to build a company that can survive for 102 years, but every year's experience shows us how difficult that goal is, especially to build a company that not only survives and makes money, but also has ideals and contributes to society." The past 25 years seem to have been filled with confusion, disappointment, setbacks, pain, and struggle. But we have gritted our teeth, smiled through it, and persevered to protect and nurture our ideals. In this passage, there's something fun worth pointing out. Jack Ma says Alibaba's goal is to survive for 102 years. A lot of people may wonder, why 102 years? The answer is interesting. In 1999, during Alibaba's first all-hands meeting, Jack Ma proposed this idea of 102 years. His reasoning was that he wanted Alibaba to span 3 centuries, from 1999 to 2101, which would cover exactly 3 centuries. From this perspective, Jack Ma still holds significant influence over Alibaba. Even though Jack Ma no longer manages the day-to-day operations of Alibaba, he continues to steer the company's strategic direction. In his letter, Ma reflects on the past 25 years, saying that it often felt like they were caught in a state of confusion, disappointment, frustration, pain, and struggle, but still persisted with a smile. You can see that he uses so many emotional words, yet they all describe one consistent mood, a feeling of being defeated. When Ma talks about the last 25 years, in reality, aside from the initial startup phase, Alibaba has mostly enjoyed smooth sailing since the 2000s. They benefited immensely from the boom in e-commerce and the rise of mobile internet in China. Alibaba's growth has been rapid, and they've faced few major external setbacks. For example, in 2009, Alibaba launched the Singles' Day shopping festival, which revolutionized the e-commerce landscape in China and remains far ahead of the competition. And when mobile internet started gaining traction, Alibaba quickly released the Taobao and Tmall apps, securing its position. Another big success came in 2014, when Alibaba went public in the US, creating thousands of billionaires within the company. The real setbacks for Jack Ma didn't begin until 2020, after his controversial speech at the Bund Financial Forum. That's when Ant Group's IPO was abruptly halted. Alibaba was fined 18.2 billion yuan for monopolistic practices, and the company was required to undergo a 3-year regulatory overhaul. It's really from 2020 to 2024 that Alibaba faced its most challenging period. So, when Ma talks about confusion, disappointment, frustration, pain, and struggle and gritting his teeth to persist, he's likely referring to this period. It's not just the state of Alibaba, but his personal state as well. But Jack Ma is still Jack Ma. Despite everything, he kept pushing forward with a smile, and that's a reflection of his resilience and vision. Ultimately, his persistence paid off when the 3-year regulatory overhaul ended. On August 30th, the Chinese State Administration for Market Regulation announced that Alibaba had successfully completed its rectification process with great results. You have to understand, Jack Ma is a very proud person. People who've interacted with him often say he's the most idealistic person among businesspeople and the proudest among idealists. Now, imagine what it's like for an idealist to face setbacks and pain. They either compromise with the world or they give up entirely. Clearly, Jack Ma chose the former. So, in this open letter, Ma also talks about Alibaba's achievements. He breaks down Alibaba's achievements into two main areas: contributions to China's business ecosystem and contributions to Chinese society. When discussing their business contributions, Ma says, "I'm proud that when there was no payment infrastructure, we created one; when there was no logistics network, we helped build one; when there was no internet infrastructure, we invested in it. Credit was once worthless, but we made it invaluable. We believe technology can, and must, help every ordinary person, allowing them to gain dignity through its power." These words reflect Alibaba's key business units: Alipay, Alibaba Logistics, Alibaba Cloud, Ant Group, and of course, Taobao and Tmall. But these business achievements are not what Ma emphasizes most. Instead, he highlights Alibaba's societal contributions, like developing the health code system during the pandemic and overcoming the technological hurdles of enabling online train ticket purchases during China's Spring Festival travel rush. He also points out Alibaba's poverty alleviation efforts, concluding that all of these societal contributions are driven by what he calls Alibaba's chivalrous spirit. Essentially, Ma is reminding everyone of the social responsibilities Alibaba has fulfilled. As a businessman, Ma also comments on the competitive landscape he faces today, which forms the concluding point of his open letter. He mentions that Alibaba was never a company protected by others; instead, they believe in the power of the market and the value of innovation. The implication of this statement is that some companies might be protected. Who is he referring to? In discussions on social media, many speculate that Ma is hinting at Pinduoduo. In just a few years, Pinduoduo has become Alibaba's biggest competitor. In the first half of this year, Pinduoduo's revenue approached 200 billion yuan, with a 104% growth rate, while operating profits hit 58.3 billion yuan. In contrast, despite Alibaba's revenue being double that of Pinduoduo, its growth rate was only 5.1%, and its operating profits were 8 billion yuan less than Pinduoduo's. Pinduoduo is clearly Alibaba's top competitor now. One of the biggest issues facing Chinese e-commerce is the problem of counterfeit goods, and Pinduoduo has been widely criticized for this. However, despite these problems, Pinduoduo has not faced long-term regulatory penalties or multi-billion yuan fines. Perhaps this is what Ma means by protected. As you can see, Jack Ma's letter is just over 1,000 words, but there's a lot we can unpack from it, revealing his mindset over the past few years. Will Jack Ma still have a place in today's era? Only time will tell.